Welcome to Health Oddity, the show that strips away the jargon and hype surrounding all things health and fitness to help you live a long, strong and energetic life. Lining up at the bar this week, here's Peter Lant, Paul Bassett and James St. Pierre.
Hello and welcome to the Health Oddity podcast, episode 114. We are rattling through the year. We are well into our second 100 episodes now, and we are joined by another fantastic guest today. We are on a slight time. We've started a bit late today, so we're going to go for about 45 minutes today on this. So there might not be the usual amount of patter at the start because we've got a fantastic guest and we want to spend as much time with her as possible. But Peter, how are you doing today before I introduce our guest?
I'm very, very well, thank you. But like you say, the top banter won't be happening this week, I'm afraid. Not in the intro. It will be happening throughout the podcast, but just not the usual top banter that we usually have.
Okay.
Never mind.
Good. I will quickly say, Pete mentioned, if you are watching on YouTube, I've not got like polka dots on my head. My wife bought me a new razor yesterday and I shaved my head, and it's one of these, I've gone from 3 razors to 5, and it's literally, I took off most of my head yesterday, shaved my head.
This is one of the, right, we were just talking about this, right? You watch the adverts and they're all like, how close is your shave? And then we need to get it closer. They've been getting it closer for like 40 odd years. How close does it need to be? And I was just saying this before we recorded. Well, all they do is add an extra blade on. It's like, what's the point in that? You know what I mean?
And then
you're going to end up with a razor that's this thick.
You basically just end up taking the top layer of your skin off, you know, and then that's as close you can be. Anyway,
do it with a scythe.
Yeah,
next time.
Yes.
Yeah.
Anyway, we are joined today by 3 times world's strongest woman, Donna Moore. How are you doing, Donna?
I'm very well, thank you. Thank you for having me.
Okay, so very briefly, guys, if a lot of you I've been talking to and telling you that Donna's coming on the podcast today, but Donna was World's Strongest Woman 2016, 2017, 2019. Arnold Strongman Strongwoman winner in 2016, 2017, and Arnold Pro winner in 2019, I believe. Loads of records, been around the sport for years and years, and has got a fantastic documentary out at the moment on Apple TV and Amazon Prime called Don Strong that both myself and Pete have watched with our other halves, and we all loved it. So we'll talk a bit about that. So without further ado, we will pass over to Donna. Donna, do you want to, first of all, thanks so much for making the time. I know you were training just prior to this, and you've had a drive to get back, and you look incredibly glamorous. I said, you don't look like you just came out of the gym.
I know. I think it's just the angle.
Okay. But do you want to tell us a little bit about, I suppose most guests we have on, we've had lots of people in the past from, you know, we've had people who do weightlifting, powerlifting, kettlebell sport people, Olympic skiers we've had on, physique competitors. But as I said to you, we've never had a sort of a strong woman, strong man competitor on. So it'd just be really good to know a bit about you and your lifestyle, really, and your training and your nutrition and everything that you do. But I suppose, first of all, just if you could tell us a bit about your background, really, how you came into the sport, you know, if you've always been physically active, if it's something you came to at a certain stage in life, and just so we've got a bit of background to begin with, that would be really, really helpful.
Yeah, sure. So I suppose I've kind of been like physically active when I was younger, like in my teens and things. I had horses and I used to have to cycle to see horses and things like that. So that was like my activity. I'd also was really quite good at swimming, but I didn't actually pursue that. I just decided that I preferred horses instead. So that's kind of what I did. But as I got a little bit older into my 20s, I didn't have the horse, and I was quite young when I had children. So realistically, I didn't do any kind of sport from there at all. And then I had my second child, and I was really finding life very difficult actually with having like being younger myself and having two young children, and in a difficult kind of relationship setup, I would say. So I'd been to the doctor because I wanted to lose weight because I was a lot larger after having the two kids and stuff like that and not being active. And the GP was really helpful and actually directed me to go to a gym. So that's great that actually the GP took that stance. And they would support me to lose weight and I could come back and see her, but I needed to join the gym and do some kind of like physical activity, which would therefore improve my mood and the way that I felt and things like that as well. So I actually took her advice, and the first activities that I did then was go to body pump and body step, body combat, body everything that was on in like a local leisure centre where I lived in Inverness. So that was my first foray into the gym. Essentially, I didn't feel brave enough to be able to go into the upstairs into the proper gym because I didn't know what I was doing or anything like that at all, and I felt really self-conscious also about the way that I looked. So to me, the classes felt like a safer environment. I would meet new people because I lived away from home, and it just actually being with other people who were kind of in a similar situation made me feel much more comfortable actually, and I just really enjoyed it.
How old were you at this stage when you first did your first kind of body pump class, if you like? Because I remember teaching body pump about 20 years ago.
Yeah. So it would have been about that. So
okay.
maybe a little bit less. So about how old? I would probably say about 17 years, maybe.
Okay.
That's when I first started doing that. So yeah, that was when I first started going to the gym basically, and I just kept doing that for quite a long time because it actually made me really happy. So and then throughout that I obviously lost weight, like I just said. I was a lot happier, I got more confidence, and then I was able to felt like I could go into the actual gym or go to different gyms around where I lived, and that's kind of how I got into strong sports or strength training specifically through gyms like that. So it's quite a lot of other factors in there, but essentially I got invited to a Strongwoman competition through Facebook even back then. That was in 2012. So that was quite a long time. I'd been doing other bits and pieces, and I kind of never really looked back from there. So I'd have been about 32 then.
So what is it? So when you actually were started, so it sounds like kind of a familiar start to the story that lots of people go through, where maybe they want to lose weight and they go to a gym and they start doing these exercise classes, and you said like body pump and body combat and things like that. And then to go from that to actually, I presume, get more into the strength training side of it when you go into the like you said, the proper gym area, and you start lifting weights and things like that. I mean, was that something that you just did, or was there like someone who kind of took you under their wing a little bit? Did someone kind of help you? Did you have a trainer? Did you have a coach? Did someone maybe see some potential in you and wanted to help you?
Well, I didn't have a coach or anything specifically at that time, but there's a guy who I'm still friends with now. He works for Cerberus Strength. They do all of like the support systems and things like that. And actually, at the time, he was a PT in a local gym that I decided to go to. So he showed me how to actually deadlift. So a lot of this is all his fault. And also, within that gym, they used to do challenges, like weekly gym member challenges and stuff like that for like males and females. And he would always encourage me to do the guys one, always. So I think he was the first person that kind of like showed me the way, if that makes sense. And I just kind of fell in love with that. And I think from the background in horses and things like that, and being on farms, like you're used to lifting heavy and being like functionally fit. So that kind of doing strongman or those kind of liftings, it did kind of come a bit more naturally to me because I had been used to being quite physically active, lifting heavy things and dealing with like heavy animals and things like that back then. So I just enjoyed doing strongman. And also I'd seen it on the television, the same as a lot of people, World's Strongest Man. So I'd always watched that as a child as well. So I didn't even really know that the women were a part of it, because it was only ever on television twice and then just kind of disappeared. So I did remember watching it in the early 2000s and thinking, good Lord, they're amazing. Obviously to me, I would love, like, I love strongman, but like strongwoman is like more my thing, obviously. So when I was watching the ladies do it, I was like, wow, that looks great. But at that point in my life, it wasn't even a fleeting thought it would be something that I would do. So, yeah.
And did you
sorry.
start doing some sort of like regional shows and things like that to begin with? I mean, I don't really know how much the infrastructure is set up for the kind of like the women's sport as opposed to the men's sport, but there's lots and lot. I know it's a lot more popular now, obviously, than it was 10 years ago. So were there kind of small regional shows that you could go along and do, or were you doing more kind of like deadlift competitions and specific kind of competitions, different things?
The first competition that I did was like a deadlift only competition, like within the gym, and that was actually Luke Stockman's and my first competition, so we both did that at the same time. But then from there, there was no novice competitions or beginners or intermediates like there is now. So I just been invited to a competition that was in Ayrshire, but the lady who was running it had brought people over from Iceland and Germany and stuff like that. So like the internet was much more limited then. So I remember watching a few of them on like YouTube videos, and I was like, oh my goodness, like what on earth have I got myself into here with these people? But I actually had a great day, and it just kind of went from there. The pathways to like bigger competitions, there wasn't so many, if you see what I mean. So you ended up kind of like at the deep end quite quick. So that's what happened to me.
Yeah,
that's really interesting, especially the thing you said about like dealing with like animals and just functional strength around the countryside, like farming or whatever. And that's how all this started back in the day anyway, didn't it? People were lifting heavy stuff, and then they were like, oh, let's make a competition out of it, because humans are a bit daft, aren't they? They're like, all right, let's see who the strongest person on the farm is. So that's great, and like the functional strength behind it. But then obviously, like you said, you went to a gym and then someone showed you how to deadlift, and then you had the strength, but then the technique comes in with it. So how, and then you went to that competition, and then there's all these people coming in who know what they're doing, and you're there like, right, I kind of know what I'm doing, but what's going on here? So how's your training evolved over time from that to now? I mean, because I know on your documentary you said, we were just winging it. We were just picking stuff up and putting it down and hoping for the best. So how's that evolved?
Well, it's evolved quite significantly, obviously. So whereas before it was just kind of like seeing what the events were and maybe doing them. But now I did go to like other classes. I went and spent some time with like Gemma Magnuson, because I've moved back to Yorkshire, or Gemma Taylor, I should say now. But really, and a chap called Gary Gardner, he was really helpful with me to, show me strongman events, and especially like Atlas stone lifting. He showed me lots of different things. But I suppose it evolved greatly when I got with my coach, Jenny. So Jenny and I have been together like from the very start of like our kind of international lifting, I would say. And we've been like, it's been a lot of years. So it has evolved significantly, because the sport has evolved significantly. It's, an actual sport now. You can travel the world doing this, and the competition is hard. It's more and more people come, the depth of talent gets bigger and bigger. So you have to evolve as an actual athlete now. It's not just like strong people lifting things anymore. It's an actual sport, and it should be treated as such. And that's how I treat it, as a sport.
Yeah. I think probably, like you say, initially you were there at the kind of, I suppose, the genesis of the sport in this country, especially the women's side of the sport in this country. And it was kind of a grassroots thing. And now, like you say, I mean, you see it across all levels of the kind of the strongman sports, but that, like you say, you need to be a proper athlete now, don't you? You've got the sort of the static events, you've got the kind of moving events, the loaded carries, and you're doing event after event throughout the day. So you have to be in top condition and able to do a wide variety of things, don't you? So how do you split your training up? Is it split up into, I can hear your dog going in the background.
Yeah, I know.
Okay.
Sorry.
Yeah. That's all right. No, that's all right. Do you kind of, because I don't suppose you always train specifically for events. You train for general strength and then you sharpen up for events near competitions, or how does it work for you?
Yeah, it does basically work like that. So I suppose now, because I've been doing it quite a long time, a lot of the events that I do, I don't need a large amount of time to kind of refine them. I already know them, if you see what I mean. It's just like the implement or the distance or the time or whatever, it might change. But yeah, generally it's like a strength building program most of the time, or we might pick something specific that we want to work on. Like I've dropped down a weight category within Strongman now, so with like me losing weight, my deadlift has kind of got less. So we're going to be like building up on that as we go forward. It's enough to be able to compete in a few weeks' time now, but progressing, obviously, the weights are obviously going to get bigger. That's the way it goes. So, those are things that we're going to be working on. And I've also just recently suffered like a bicep detachment. So, we're working on building things like that. So it's just always trying to build your weakness to stay consistently, well-rounded as an individual, and like seeing it as a whole sport, not just like we're just benching or everything's separate like that.
Yeah. So in terms of like,
I'm sorry,
that's all right. No, it's no problem at all. In terms of days per week training that you do, because you also have a job, outside of, you're not a full-time, athlete, as it were. You can't dedicate yourself 100% of the time to it. So
No.
how many days per week do you train, and what does that kind of look like in terms of time commitment from you each week for your training currently?
So my training sessions usually take me probably about 2 hours each time, an hour and a half to 2 hours. Plus I don't live near the gym that I train at, so I drive like 20-25 minutes each way to get there. So I would probably do like two lower days, like squat and like deadlift, and then a press day and an event day. So depending on what competitions are coming up, it would probably be between like 3 to 4, potentially 5. Like at the moment, I'm kind of hammering it a little bit because I've got a specific event coaching somewhere else. So I've got quite a lot of days on the bounce at the moment. But it's just the way it is,
And how often do you use, I know obviously in the documentary that you've got your kind of the garage that you've got set up with equipment in, and you can see you doing your trap bar deadlifts out in the snow on the documentary, but how many days a week do you go in there and train, or do you still use that as training on your own there? Or?
No, I don't. So the documentary, it's been made for quite a long time. So this was all in COVID. So this is like I'd set up that in the garage for specifically like that kind of reason, because there was nowhere else to be able to train or do anything. So for me, it's important to me. It matters to me that I train and I'm physically active, and the fact that all the gyms closed down for such long periods of time, it's something that I personally can't not do. I can't not do it. So I just got equipment and put it outside, and I just trained in it because I have to and I want to, because it's a high level of importance for me. It's a priority. So now I have the garage is all still set up and everything, but I prefer to be in a gym because, first of all, I don't like being outside like that. I don't like getting cold or being snowed on, and I like to take the time to drive to the gym to think about what I'm doing, and then the drive home to think about what I've done, and then what I'm gonna eat when I get home. What else am I gonna do? Am I going to work tomorrow? All the rest of the life things that I've got, So.
Yeah, I was going to ask that about your recovery, because obviously, I mean, when you're recreational, kind of you're not really going towards a limit or anything or anywhere near it. So it's just like turn up, do the thing, leave, turn up, and people do that every day, right? Or as many times as they like. But when you're doing what you're doing, it's really committed and really heavy, and it's like, I mean, I know training, you don't go to your limit on training sessions, but you're still taxing your body. and then recovery becomes the big thing, doesn't it? It's like, you need time, because if you go again the next day, you're gonna damage yourself. So how do you fit that in around your lifestyle as well? Because obviously that's it's one of those things, like you say, am I at work tomorrow? And then like, well, if I need to do that, and then do you have to like condense some sessions down, or can you kind of can you have a routine week by week, if you know what I mean?
So Jenny writes all my programming, and I can see what it is. We have an app, so I can see what's coming generally. Or we've got really good communication channels. So if I just said to her, look, I'm on shifts for the next few days, I can't do those then, but I'm gonna pick them up. I suppose now that I've been doing it for so long, I know how my body's going to be around this, but I do make sure that like I eat and I'm hydrated and I'm organized. And if I have any problems, then I tell Jenny that I've got them, and I go and get myself massage and stuff, and I take the time to warm up correctly every single session. Like, people just walk into the gym and bang 70 kilos and start bench pressing and stuff like that, and you can't just do that if you want to have longevity in the things that you do, or even if you just want to look after your body. Take the time to like prepare it to work, things like that. And the same as if you do have an injury, take the time to fix it, or work around it. People just like, oh, my back hurts, but I'm just going to keep doing this, and this. Well, maybe go get it looked at, and your sore back that you've still got a year later is because you didn't address the problem in the first place. So, that's a little gripe that I've just.
I didn't even ask that question, but yeah, you got that in there. Well done.
I was going to ask as well, in terms of, that's another thing that you mentioned about when you're driving, you're thinking about what you're going to be eating and whatever, because across all sports, whether it be football or rugby or boxing or strongman or anything, the kind of the importance of nutrition and the way people tackle that over the last decade has changed a hell of a lot as well, and I suppose that's no different with your sport as well. So do you have someone who looks at your nutrition, or do you how does that work for you, and how do you manage your nutrition?
Yeah, I do. I have a guy called Matt McKeegan who does my nutrition, and also now the fact that I'm competing within a weight class, so I need somebody that actually understands more of it than I do to be able to help me be able to eat the right food to be able to recover, but also not to be too heavy either. So that's kind of his job. But again, I suppose in that situation, I am like a coachable person. So if Matt's like, it's X, Y, Z, eat this, then I'll just eat it, because at the end of the day, I'm an athlete and I want to do well at the sport that I'm doing. So, you need to, obviously you can decide for things that work better for you, or, discuss that with people, but, I need to stay within this weight class. So I will listen to him, and it's working out quite well at the moment.
Okay. So previously then, you were say a weight class above, and you didn't really have that kind of thought in your mind that I need to train hard, I need to get stronger, but I have to keep my weight under a certain limit. You were a bit more, was there an upper limit to where you were before? Or
no, there is no, in Strongman, they've got the weight category. So I compete in under 82 kilo now, but after that, it's just open weight. So it's like,
so it's
you can, whatever. Yeah, sky's the limit kind of thing.
Yeah.
So I would have probably sat around like about 105 kilo in body weight, which sounds like it's a lot, but there's a lot of other ladies in these categories that weigh a lot more than that. So from an athletic perspective, and also my own body composition that I wanted to be now, it was more competitive for me to come down a weight class. So that's basically what I decided to do. So my nutrition would have still been like fairly decent. I would have eaten the right the right amounts of things, but when it's not so limited to how much you can weigh, you don't have to worry about getting on an aeroplane and being able to cut the weight at the other side. You can just eat your dinner as normal and get on an aeroplane and go and compete. But right now it's a bit more sciencey.
Yeah. So if you're competing at like under 82, I think you just said, how tall are you, Donna? Because
I'm about 5'7".
Oh, okay. Yeah. Because you're obviously and do you have to, is there any like I'm from a bit of a boxing background, so there's a bit of a sort of cutting involved, but do you comfortably sit kind of under 82 like at the moment, or do you need to cut a bit when you compete?
The face says no.
My face, you're correct, says no. So
oh no.
Yeah. So for the most recent competition that I've done, which was the Arnold UK, that's the first competition after I'd had my bicep reattached. So during the time of like rehabbing, kind of being a bit more lax with the things that I was doing, enjoying the sunshine, and just being a little bit freer. So I do have to say I did have to cut for that particular one, but we tried to stay around 80, no more than 84 kilos, so that like it's not ghastly to actually cut it. But the Arnold that I just did, it was fairly ghastly, yeah.
Okay. No, it's interesting because we don't normally ask women about their weight on the podcast, but a couple of weeks ago we had a lady from America, Rebecca Rouse, who's like an Olympic weightlifter, and she competes in the under 64, I think, kilos, and so we kind of had a similar conversation with her, but she said naturally she sits at about 62, so if anything she's a bit freer, you know, she can actually put on a bit to get to the top end. So it's just interesting to know how you manage that. And when you do your driving, it's interesting, you said you've got your drive maybe 20-25 minutes to the gym, and you'll be thinking about what you're going to be doing at the gym. And Pete and I were talking before you came on about sort of visualization and thinking about things. Do you employ any kind of visualization techniques around, or are you thinking about, obviously what you're going to do when you get there, so you're kind of any mental rehearsal, that sort of thing? Or
absolutely, yeah. I spend quite a lot of time thinking about it, and I've spent a lot of time working on my actual mental game for competition, where I suppose when I first started, I remember being at the competition and I was so nervous, I was just shaking, and you can't, that's a waste of energy. That's a waste of my time, being so nervous and, being so stressed about it all. And it was the best bit of advice I was given. It was, you need to work on that mental game. You will be, and you can be the world's strongest woman, but not until you fix that. So I went away with that and worked on like calming my nerves. Yes, I still get nervous, but I'm able to like deal with them in a different way, like breathe them out or apply them to the task at hand. So I also do like visualize the events, especially this competition coming up, because like I say, it's the first time that I'll be at World's Strongest Woman in the new weight class. So I want to think about absolutely everything that I'm going to be doing. So all my coaching cues, like for each event and things like that, how I'm going to position the equipment, when I'm going to set up to it. I spent a lot of time thinking about each and every aspect of that, and even down to like when the whistle goes, how am I going to apply myself and what am I going to think about, those kind of things. So I could be like driving along in the car or just some random part of the day, and I just get like it's like a quickening of my heartbeat. It's because I'm subconsciously thinking about the things that I'm going to be doing, and I have to calm that. Like I literally quash that straight away and just breathe that out, because the negative impact that it has being so nervous is draining. It's draining.
It's funny because I'm just starting a program up for some people who I train, and who like it's based around mindset stuff. And it's not necessarily about lifting; it's just about handling the stresses of life. And what you've just said there is brilliant, because it's like, you turn up on the day and you're nervous and everything, so it's going to go one way or the other. And whereas if you turn up and it's just another lift, that's kind of the idea, isn't it? You just turn up to the gym and it's another lift. Even on a competition day, you just walk on and you're like, I've done this a million times in my head, and I've done it a million times in the gym, so therefore it's just another lift, and it is what it is. And I think like it and like you've said, you even visualize the equipment and all that, and you might even know what the smells are in the room and all of this sort of stuff. It's like and trying to get that across to people, that it makes things just easier, because you're doing things because everyone does things on autopilot anyway, regardless of what it is. So you might as well visualize the good. And what I love there is you said, this is going to be the first time I will have won strong woman in this weight category. So it wasn't like I'm going to try or anything like that. It's like, this is going to be the first time I've won that. And I love that because that's like a proper, no, it's a language thing. And we tell ourselves all the time, don't we? Like, you know, what you tell yourself can come into reality. So I absolutely love that. Great.
And did you go away, Donna, and did you get like some specific coaching or sports psychology or something around this to help you? Or is this something that you've kind of just spoke to people and put together yourself, this kind of thing that you're doing at the moment?
I spoke to a few people, just like other athletes, really, I suppose. But most of it, I've employed myself. Like, I'm an only child, so I'm used to doing things by myself, and I've been a single parent for a very long time. So again, I'm used to being like fully independent in the things that I'm doing. So there's only myself to rely on in these situations for all of like growing up and looking after two little people. So I am self-reliant for the things that I'm doing. So I, know kind of what's gonna work for me. And I suppose experience has given me that as well. But I think just being like self-sufficient about it all, you're gonna have to do it. I put myself in this situation because I want to compete. So therefore I need to fix everything and facilitate everything to be able to let me compete to my best. And that's the thing that's letting me down, then I need to fix that. It's kind of just that simple. And I suppose it's like that with things in life as well. If there's something that only you can make the change, you have to decide to do it. And if you're not committed to the process of whatever it may be, then you're not going to get there. That could be education or your job or like house things or a relationship. If you're not committed then and you're going to work hard, then things don't work out. So see, I'm kind of like that.
I don't know if you want to talk about this or not. But how are your kids really supportive and all of that sort of stuff? And they're like, my mum's the strongest. She's not the strongest mum in the world. It's the strongest woman in the world. Like, you know what I mean? Do they?
Yeah, well, they've kind of been along on the journey a while, I suppose. So it's probably a little bit over it, if I'm honest.
You've won another one, have you? Well done.
So, and obviously they're older now. They're their own people. So, I mean, they've come along and watched all the competitions, but it's got more like international, then obviously they can't really come. But yeah, I suppose they're supportive, and they would tell their friends. And my daughter, she'd watch the documentary and things like that because she wanted to see it all. So they are supportive. I'm lucky in that way that they did just come to the gym and do whatever while I was I was training. But again, I feel that it shows them that if it's something that they want to do, then like I said to you, have to be committed and work towards your goals. So whatever aspect it is in life. So my daughter's a nursing student at university, so that's what she's working towards, and that's her goal, and she's committed to doing the very best that she can to achieve that. So I feel that that's kind of instilled that in them, and she also works alongside doing that study too. So things can be done, you just have to want to.
Absolutely, yeah,
absolutely. And the competition that's coming up, you mentioned a couple of times, is this actually the World's Strongest Woman competition that's the next one on the horizon for you?
Yeah, so it's called the Official Strongman Games. Like, World's Strongest Woman doesn't have its own standalone competition yet, like World's Strongest Man, but I kind of think that in the future that would be something that would happen, but we're not there yet. That's just fine. So all the weight classes of all Strongman and Strongwoman are all at the Official Strongman Games, which is kind of overseen or run a bit by like Giants Live. So that kind of banner, Official Strongman. So yes, it is that competition that's coming up, and that's Florida. It's in Florida.
In Florida. And when is that? When is that?
The 11th to the 13th of November. So it's a 3-day competition, actually.
Okay. So 11th to 13th of November. Cool.
Yeah.
I'm going to be watching that.
And will that be kind of televised or able to watch online, or will it be recorded and then televised later like some of the shows are and stuff? Or
no, it's just live streamed, I think, and it'll be other snippets of like whatever athletes post. It is definitely live streamed. Whether you need to watch it through the Official Strongman website or not, I'm not entirely sure about that. But yeah,
that's cool. But that'll be the first one that you're going to be, well, not the first one, but the first one of the world's one where you're going to be going in at the 82 and under. category.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So we've got quite a lot of ladies from the UK going to like that particular official strongman games across all of the weight categories. So it's really quite exciting.
And is there good kind of camaraderie across? Because from what I've seen of the on the documentary and seeing different things on TV and like I say, being to a few of the kind of male events as well, there seems to be, although you're kind of competing against each other, there seems to be a real kind of camaraderie. It's like you say, it's quite a, I suppose it's a niche sport, isn't it? In terms of still. So is there friendships and things across the group, even though you may be competing with each other?
Yes, I would say that we are quite supportive of each other. But when it comes to, I suppose this particular competition, there's a lot going on, and there's a lot of athletes, and it's a lot of days. So I think it's potentially a little bit less. You still want to know if everybody's okay. Of course, you don't want anybody to get injured, and you want your mates to obviously do well. So obviously my friendship group that's going to be over there, then I'm obviously rooting for them. But the rest of the time, kind of rooting for myself.
And I suppose you'll be doing a lot of your, if you've got events coming up, and you'll be doing your kind of visualization and trying to get yourself in the right mental space, won't you? So you'll want to shut yourself off a little bit before you.
Like I say, I think there's over 400 athletes at this. So over 3 days, and the amount of events, there's a lot of waiting time as well. So it's trying to keep yourself in the kind of in the zone, but without too much being in the zone, because it's also like mentally exhausting. So just finding like the right balance and somewhere to sit down and getting all your things organized around you, so your life's easier for when it's go time.
So it's also going to be doing it in Florida as well, because if you used to be in Inverness, and then where are you up now? Is it Darlington way somewhere?
I'm actually Catterick Garrison, but yeah.
Catterick, yeah. I know that. I'm from Newcastle, so I know all the area, and I had friends in North Yorkshire in Hunton. There was a village called Hunton.
That's
my
right,
friend Catherine's parents used to run the pub there back in the day. Nice. It was great. But yeah, so you're on the documentary, you're out in the snow, you've been training up in Inverness, and then you're off to Florida to compete. So you're gonna have to deal with the temperature as well, aren't you?
Yeah, I think I'll be perfectly fine. I like the sunshine, and plus it's indoors, this one, but I like the sunshine. Yeah, I'm a sun person.
Excellent. And I just wanted to ask you as well, I don't know if you're involved in at all, but I saw there was a next May, it's the UK's Strongest Man, and they've got the UK's Strongest Woman event in Nottingham or something in about May next year. Is that something that you maybe don't compete in, but you get involved in that?
No, I do compete in that. So there's been quite a lot of opportunities here in the UK at the moment for the ladies, like people putting on competitions. So I don't know if that's official Ultimate Strongman, isn't it? That's Glenn Ross. Yeah. So he puts on, he's been really good for the ladies. Putting on like spectator friendly shows, I would say. They're visually appealing, so you can see and think, oh wow, that is heavy, that's pretty cool, that kind of thing. So if there is the opportunity to kind of grow the sport, then I will participate in that, because to me, I just want women to see that they can be strong, and it's fun, and there is, if you do want to compete, there is the opportunity there. If you don't want to compete, you don't have to, but it's fun. It's like I've said in my documentary, it's empowering. It's given me personally a lot, by being able to be the way that I am. So it's increased my happiness levels greatly.
Excellent. No, because I think I might go up there with the family for that one, because I saw it's up for 3 days. I think it's the May bank holiday, I think. So it's the Saturday, Sunday, and then the Monday over 3 days. And it said the women's event is kind of part of it as well. And but so that sounds quite.
There's a big Giants Live team event as well at the end of November in Liverpool. So that's the USA versus the UK. And that's the first time that the women have been involved in Giants Live. So specifically an arena show. So again, that shows that the sport is, progressing, that we've been given the opportunity to do that. So again, I'm competing in that for that reason. Yeah.
Oh, brilliant. No, I saw that, because that's Eddie Horde and Robert Oberst, aren't they?
Yeah.
Are leading the teams. Yeah. So, fantastic. Oh, that's great. Brilliant. Yeah. Okay. Well, it's we've kind of hit approximately our time. So I'll start to wrap up. I really appreciate you fitting us in, Donna. It's really, really lovely speaking to you. Yeah, it's just been great, and I hope everything goes well in November over in Florida. And is it the end of November, Liverpool? I think you said the team event.
Yeah, the 26th. Yeah.
Yeah, so end of November the team event, and then maybe next May at that one. You know, like you say, loads of opportunities for you to compete now. And yeah, just it's been brilliant speaking to you. So thanks so much. If people don't already follow you and want to kind of get more involved in what you do, and just seeing, you know, your training I know you put up and where you're competing and the documentary and that sort of thing, what's the best place for people to go, Donna?
Probably Instagram. So that's Donna Moore Strongwoman on Instagram. I do have just a regular person Facebook page, but I don't really post that much on there particularly. So Instagram's probably best.
Excellent. So it's at Donna. I think it's at Donna _Moore_Strongwoman.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Okay, so I recommend everyone do that. So thank you so much, Donna. Thank you, Pete. Thank you everybody for listening and for watching. Please do like, share and subscribe. And if you'd like to join our Facebook group, go onto Facebook, go into groups, find Health Oddity, and we'll let you in there. And if you do watch on YouTube, please subscribe to the YouTube channel as well, because that really helps us out on there. And thank you so much, Donna. We will follow everything you're doing going forwards. This episode will go out in about 2 weeks' time, I think. So I might pin you a few of the links and stuff.
Okay, no problem.
About 2 weeks, I think, Pete.
Something like that.
Something like that. Okay.
We've got a few lined up.
Yeah, brilliant. But thank you so much. And everybody, go and watch the Don Strong documentary on Apple or Amazon or anywhere. I know you can, if you go to Donna's Instagram, you can click on her link tree, I think, and you can see it on there as well.
Yeah, that's right. You can.
Brilliant. We will see you next week when we are on with Megan Calloway from Vancouver. That is next week. That's next week. Brilliant. Take care, guys. See you next week. Bye-bye.
You've been listening to Health Odyssey with Peter Lant, Paul Bassett and James St. Pierre. To get your regular fix of hype-free health, you can subscribe and leave a review wherever you get your favorite podcasts. You can find out more on today's and other topics at healthodyssey.com, or find us on Facebook or Instagram by searching for Health Odyssey.